1963, my 16th birthday. We're at Laban Street and everybody's celebrating. It's 1963. We're at Laban Street. It's my 16th birthday with everybody, my mother's family, my father's, and we're having a great time. This is my mother's mother with Uncle Harry and Uncle Joe. They put my grandmother in the IMH in Rhode Island. I gave her electric shock treatment back in the 50s and 60s because she had depression. Hopefully, they don't do that anymore. And this is at the table. Me 16. Oh my! Look at Stevie there, and my friend Bobby Mack. Mickey was there, and we're having singing a birthday part, singing happy birthday to me. My mother's on the left. Look how young she looked. Oh my God! And all my cousins were there. Jeannie. That was Bobby right there. Oh no, I'm sorry. Bobby wasn't there. Yeah, that was Bobby. I'm losing it. And we're having a great time. This is my dad on the left, my mom, little Bobby. Stevie loved to fish. Out of everybody, he used to always go fishing. Is my mother's father down below. He was a great fisherman. His name was Pete Naveau. Look at all the boats, wooden boats, nothing fiberglass like today. And so we used to go down once in a while. There's Stevie fishing somewhere in Narragansett, and there's Mickey. There's me, my mom, my grandfather's sitting down fishing, and we would all go and fish. I didn't really love it, but we all got together and fished, so we had a good time. Probably Narragansett, like my mom. Her father was right there. He used to make his own fishing poles back in the day. He made his own boat. He came from Italy in the 20s. He made an accordion. He was very talented. He was a barber in Providence. And amazing life. There's Mickey catching a fish. Yeah, wooden boats, no fiberglass boats back in those days. But it was the 60s. There's me fishing. We didn't know any better. No cell phones. These movies, by the way, were Super 8 movies, which means we had to use a movie camera, take a 3-minute video, send it away. It would take a week to come back. We had no idea how it came out. and it had no sound. And you can tell some of the videos are very shaky. And we just took whatever we took, we put it back in. This is my father's work, First National in Providence. They grinding hamburger. Oh, this is funny. And that's somebody with a tray of meat, fooling around, going down to the front counter. Oh, this is amazing. I think my uncle took some of these pictures. No supermarkets back in the 50s and 60s. Almax was just starting to come on the scene. There's a very dark shot inside. You can see how small it was. You can see the woman's hair. Post World War II, they all wore skirts. Very dark. My Uncle Harry comes up in this one. He worked at First National, my mother's brother, and he worked in the produce department. Oh my God, look how dark this is. But this is in the 50s. I don't know who took these pictures, but yeah, somebody's sneaking off. There's my Uncle Harry. Harry Navola, working fruits and vegetables at First National. I guess this could be older than the 60s. It could be the 50s, because these were regular 8 movies. And there was the meat counter where my father worked before he went into his own business. Everything was fresh. Nothing was wrapped in packages. When you went to the market, you would just buy it. They would wrap it up for you. You take it home. There was no prepackaged, no plastic wrap. Everybody bought their meat and produce the same way. You go to the store, you pick it out, then you go home. And that was the way it was. They got the old scale, no electronic scales. It's my father. Kind of a tough picture, but in those days, today most of the meat comes in cryovac and packages right to the supermarket. In the 50s and 60s, they would call around. So my father would get like it's kind of like the beef, the cow's leg basically, and he would have to break down the round. He'd have to cut it. No protective equipment, a knife in one hand and a hook in the other, and he would cut off pieces from the cow's leg, and then they would cut up into steaks, and they would they would make hamburger out of some parts of it, and they would cut off all the fat and gristle. But there was nothing automated. It was all done by hand, and as you can see, it was a lot of work. And that when he cut it off the bone, he had to hold it up with the hook. Kind of crazy. But that was common back in those days. Today, everything comes packaged. Nobody does this anymore except in factories, and it's all done. A lot of it's done by mechanical. That was it. Then there's the bandsaw behind them that you would cut pieces of the meat up. The bone, they would sell that. My God, he was so young. Probably the 50s. I don't even know who took this, but that's a cube steak machine. You would put pieces of meat in that white machine, and it would kind of like soften the meat up. They would put it several times in there. And my father got his hand caught when he had his own market in that machine, and he had to go to the hospital. It was a mess. Thank God it didn't go through, but he got it caught and he had to shut it off. I don't know what he did. I was a kid. So there's my father. There's my mom. This must be somebody's birthday. Or maybe they're just hanging out on the Sunday. People would come to the house. We would always have, there's my Aunt Lucy, my mother's mother, my Aunt Connie, my mother's sister. Lucy's another sister, not mother. The lady behind, Mary Vajbedian, she took care of my grandmother in the hospital when she was in IMH. My cousin Johnny. So on Sundays, and there's Bobby, we would all get together at our house. There's Uncle Douglas, Connie's husband. And we would just hang out. Auntie Connie would come over as my Uncle Harry, my grandmother, my father's sister, Frances, and they would come to the house on Sunday. We didn't go anywhere, and she would make cheesecake. They're playing around with hats, and we would just hang around, the whole family, and we would, shoot pool. We had a pool table in the basement. Oh, young Bobby was probably 7 or 8, and we would just stay home, and that would be it. We didn't know any better. On Mondays we would go to the beach if the weather was good. There's Cookie. And that's me. Probably right on my birthday time. And we had TVs that was only you only had three channels. And at 12 o'clock at night, would go off the air. There'd be no TV. So it was, but that we didn't know any better. So that was, that's the way it was. Uncle Eddie, my Aunt Lucy's husband. That's Cookie, and there's Mickey, and that's it. We would just hang out at the house, and we just amuse ourselves. We'd ride our bikes. There's my mother's mother. They would take her on a Sunday to someone's house. There's my father in the kitchen on Laban Street. There's Mickey. Bobby holding a cat Popo. And I'm drinking a glass of milk. We had a nice counter. And we looked out over Route 10 on Laban Street. Oh, this Cookie, she was so young. We're playing around. There's Stevie. Look how young he was. I don't even think I was driving yet. Yeah, we had a lot of fun times, but that's all it was. We didn't know any different. No cell phone. We had one phone. We had one phone hanging in the corner, corded phone. Sometimes you had to call the operator and get connected. It wasn't like today. You could just look at Stevie. You could just dial anybody. The sisters would all come over, and we'd hang out. My grandmother would come home for the weekend, and most people wore skirts, no pants. Everybody was always kind of dressed up. There's the TV on the left. You can see the TV. We'd have coffee and cake. Oh, look at Stevie fooling around. My father. He was a riot with his cigar. Oh, God. Look at the rabbit ears on top of the record player because you didn't get good reception. You only had three channels, so you're lucky if you could even see anything. But that was our life. We had a good life as young kids. Oh, my God, they're dancing now. Probably the twist because that was Chubby Checkers in the 60s. Michael Harry, he was a hot ticket. White socks and black shoes. Okay, let's see. Somebody got married. I think this is one of my. Look at my mother all dressed up. This might have been one of my cousins. I'll see what happens when they come out. Oh, this is at my Uncle Harry's house. It used to be my grandfather's house on. This is Laurel Hill Avenue. This must have been. There's Uncle Yano. I think it's one of Yano's. There's my mom dressed up. Oh, pretty. That's Elizabeth, Bobby, Mickey. That must have been little Mary. Mary Navola. Oh my God. A couple of cousins. I forget who. There's Uncle Yano on the top left. It must be his daughter. It must be, or his son. There's Uncle Yano and his wife Angie. Oh God. So funny. The wedding was there's my grandfather, Peter. He was driving back then. Took the picture, sucked. Look at that little truck in the background. My grandfather, Auntie Angie. Walking down. This is his house on Laurel Hill Ave. I did live there later in the 80s. Oh, so this must be Sheila, my cousin Uncle Yano's son. Married this girl from Sweden, and this is their wedding. Yep, they're going to the church. Looks like they got a nice caddy. And let's see where we are now. Yeah, so now look at the old cars. Oh, 64 Chevy, 57 Cadillac. This is at the church in Cranston, St. Anne's, next to St. Mary's. Everybody there has passed on. But we had good times back then. A lot of people I don't even know. But pretty soon there's my grandmother all dressed up and my grandfather. So cute. And that was the nurse that took care of her when she was at the IMH. And she died when I was about 17 or 18. These are my grandmother's three daughters, and she had three sons. And now they're all gone. And there's Sheila coming in. There's Anne Marie Navola. I guess they're going in. They're at 57 Caddy. Yeah, I guess they're going into the church. Everybody dressed up. That's Bobby on the grass. And now they're coming out. Yeah, my cousin Paul Navola right there. And Peter to the right of him. That's his brother. He used to be head of REMFAC. They had a big scandal in the 70s or 80s. Rhode Island Bank, something or other. That's Paul Navola. He got married. And there's Peter and Anne Marie are still married. There's Uncle Yano and his wife Angie. Oh, funny. And now they're going in the car. There's Chuck Navola. He's like 60. Oh, this is back on Laban Street. Me, Stevie, Mickey, and Bobby just playing around. Yeah, look at Stevie. Oh my God. We would get Bobby to dance, do like the twist. There's my father. And every time my father would say, "Leave him alone." We said, "No, he did it funny." So we would just say, "Bob, dance, Bob, dance." You can see Stevie would really get at him, and he'd go at it. He'd do like a little twist. Oh God, Stevie was a riot. There's a shed we built. My mother's in the window of that old house. It must have been a Sunday. And sometimes we go to church or we go to the park. Look at that crappy house. My mother looked great. And there's a shot of me. I took most of the movies. That's why I'm not in them. But no, that's Stevie. It's not even me. That's the guy who live upstairs. So I'm taking the movies and I'm not in them. There's Bobby. We did a lot of work in the yard. There's a scene overlooking Oneyville from the house, which is still there on Laban Street. That's Route 10. Yeah, still there. The Francis Marine Armory is still there. And my mother loved to garden. She was always in the yard. You could see, and she's growing grass and vegetables. And Bobby we'd all help her. But when Bobby was out, we'd get him to play around and do jumping jacks and spin all around. Is my father's market with his 56 Caddy on Bancroft Street, which is still there, but it's a different market now. We all worked there. Me, Stevie, basically, and my mom, my dad, and my dad's cousins, my mother's brothers and sisters. A couple of them worked there. That was right around time that Almax opened in '65, and it was tough for small bit. Look at the old car, '59 Chevy station wagon. Unbelievable. This was like a black and white. Bill Mullins from Mullins Garage on Plainfield Street. Yeah, he used to go to Dunford a lot. You could look up that. This is the back half of the house on Laban Street. There's like a '53 Chevy parked there with a busted up window. The property went from Laban Street to this street, and it was kind of, look at the crappy, messy hill with a shitty fence. It was just, my father had drove his car down to see what, somebody would just park their car there. Nobody, because we would never go down there. And then we ended up building a wall right here, and we leveled the land and top, so we'd have a little bit more land to use. And there's a shed, shed in the back. We built that, so that was cool. But look at the mess that was. My mother we extended the land so she could have a bigger garden. My father with the cigar in his hand. That's Marie or Lorraine, I forget, because the Zanetti lived on the first floor, my father's sister, and we lived on the second floor, and somebody else rented out the third floor. She's always in the garden planting. She had a vegetable garden, planting flowers. And my father would help sometimes, but he worked a lot. So it was only on weekends, and he had Mondays off. And she's either We built that shed where the old barn used to be, and yeah, we would always be doing something, digging, planting. We would have a lot of vegetables because things were expensive, so we had plenty of meat from the market because my father had the market, but we didn't have like a lot of other things. So she planted vegetables to help out, and there's my paper car, 59B. I had a paper route when I was 13. That's how I met Sharon, and make a few bucks. So she looked like she's planting grass or leveling some ground out. We had a little picnic table there, and we'd always be doing something in the yard. Oh, she loved her plants, flowers. They would bloom. We'd have a lot of, look really nice in the summer. And Bobby was young, so he got to hang around with my mom. It was my dad's 56 Caddy and the 55 Caddy that I bought after. There's my dad working in the yard. He didn't work a lot in the yard, but he did sometimes. Okay, 1963. It's my 16th birthday. We're at Laban Street. Everybody's there. This is my 16th birthday. We're on Laban Street, 1963, with all the friends and family. This is 1963. I'm 16th birthday, and we're on Laban Street with all the family. Okay, 1963. It's my 16th birthday. We're at Laban Street. Everybody's there. Okay, 1963. It's my 16th birthday. We're at Laban Street. Everybody's there.